We're live.
Okay, I want to call this meeting to order. This is the Chatham Area Transit Performance Monitoring and Audit Committee. Today is Tuesday, June the 8th at 1 p.m. It's 1:01 p.m. Call to order. So our first business at hand is our budget and public hearing, and that's going to be by our CEO as the proposed budget for fiscal year 2022.
Thank you, Director Leggett. This meeting that we're opening now is a public meeting to present the proposed 2022 budget for Chatham Area Transit. If you would, Ms. Williams. Thank you. You can go to the first slide, please. I would like to say that the Chatham Area Transit staff is just elated to report that we are presenting a balanced budget of just over $30 million to our board of directors. We've only seen expenditures increase for about 10% year to year.
Chairman Cody.
Join the meeting.
This screen shows our proposed revenue streams. Of course, we are suffering with fixed route fares in view of the pandemic. Not only fixed route, but also marine services, city services, paratransit. We are looking forward to special district transit taxes coming in, and we are very thankful for the grants that we've received from the federal level. They've been a lifesaver for us. Some of the expenditures that we're looking into the next budget year are wages and benefits, which of course is any agency's highest expenditure. Right now, it takes up about 66% of our budget. Other expenditures include contracted services, materials and supplies, fuel for the buses, insurance, and that's insurance for both employees and property, as well as utilities and other administrative costs. In our capital budget, we have several things on the list that have been requested for next fiscal year, which include our bus charging stations for our electric buses that we've received. We have 5 on property now, and we'll be accepting one hopefully in August. We have several things that we need, such as the service lot improvement, which entails repaving or hopefully tearing out and replacing the parking lot. We have some facility improvements that need to be done, as well so as we hope to secure a maintenance facility, a new maintenance facility in the next fiscal year. We also have some projects that are moving forward from the previous fiscal year of 2021, which include the ferry dock facility, passenger ferry purchases, and also ITS or Intelligent Transit System purchases. And that is about all we have at this time for the budget. This is the third reading or presentation of the budget. We'll also have an opportunity to present this evening at 6 p.m. if you know anyone that might be interested. If you have any comments or questions, we will use this time to open the floor for any questions or comments. Okay, well, this will conclude the public hearing, and I'll turn it back over to you, Director Leggett.
Thank you, Ms. Ragland.
Thank you.
It's always good to know that we came under budget. Our budget looks good. We're gonna save some money, and we'll be able to do some things this year outside of
Hopefully.
COVID.
Hopefully.
So now we have our proposed agenda items for the May 25th, 2021.
Chairman,
Starting with our
Chairman.
COVID-19. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
And before we move away, I just want to also comment Ms. Williams for her support in this whole budget process. I know she'll be leaving us pretty soon, but I just want to take this time to thank her for the work that she put in as well.
Definitely. It makes the job that much easier when you have somebody that know exactly what they're doing. They can put it together.
Sir. And we had an awesome team. We had an awesome core team. I would like to say, in addition to Ms. Williams, some staff members, as well as Dr. Halloran, we had a great core team. So I thank all of them.
Definitely. I applaud her. She will be missed.
Yes, definitely.
Again, we have our number 3 proposed agenda item for May 25th, 2021. Starting with our COVID-19 emergency measures.
Director Leggett, if before Mr. Cooksey comes, if you would allow me to, I would like to request that items B, which is RFQ for zero submission bus rollout plan, and H, the strategic plan update, be removed from this proposed agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Beverly, did you hear she want to remove B and H?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you. I haven't noted.
So Ms. Ragg, does that mean we're not doing this right now? We're not doing this right now, or?
Yes, ma'am. And actually, I'm hoping that these items will be added for governance. Item B in particular, I'm awaiting some more information. I don't have all the information that I need to present. And with item H, I would like to include it in the interim CEO's update rather than place it on as an agenda item.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I haven't noted.
Mr. Cooksey, you can move forward.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is the board agenda submission item for extension of COVID-19 measures. No changes, immediate changes on this. I will update you as far as the mask mandate that has been extended until September 13th by the TSA in conjunction with the CDC. And that requirement will continue at airports, board commercial flights, and all other public transportation. One of the things that the industry, the mass transit industry is waiting on is to take down the 6 feet social distancing and to move it closer to 3 feet and maybe to 0. That has not been issued. So at this time, we're still following our social distance guidelines and our current mask mandate. So at this time, there's no changes in that. So we're presenting this forward. I do know on our last committee meeting, Dr. Halloran mentioned that one idea of this being just a standing item rather than presenting it every month up until September, because we do not anticipate any changes. Of course, obviously, if something changes, we would bring it back up. But at this time, that was his thought, and I'm just putting that out there for you to think about as well. But as of right now, that's what I'd like to report.
Yeah, and I got a comment. I personally think we should leave it on because I am interested in hearing how we're progressing. And I also would like to know, with the extended mask mandate, how are we doing as far as customers? Are they pretty much compliant? Do we take a poll as to how well that's doing for the drivers? Because, there's a lot of confusion about who should wear masks, who should not wear masks, So how are we doing?
Yeah, I think we get a lot of feedback from the drivers, from our union. We also have our info line. So if customers have a concern, they'll write in. It has not been as bad of an issue as I think we initially thought. I mean, granted, it is challenging, but because the city had the mask mandate in place and we were following that all along, it hasn't been the big upheaval that some may think. Now, we have provided on 53 of our buses, we do have our ability to have mask dispensers on those buses. So individuals who don't have one, will get an opportunity at that point. We have some also in our dispatching area. So if an operator needs to get a few, we've already prepackaged. They're welcome to do that. The goal of the idea is to offer the assistance to the rider and not get into an altercation. To this point, we have not had any physical assaults or things of that nature in and around the mask per se. So, we constantly monitor that and watch it and try to continue to find solutions on it. So I do know, in listening to several agencies across the country, I know on the West Coast, they are trying to loosen as far as the social distancing, and it's mixed. I mean, there's a lot of pushback coming from the unions, from the governments, from the employees. So it's kind of a mixed bag there. But we've chosen to have the cover of the CDC and the TSA as we move forward in reference to social distancing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Cooksey.
Yes, thank you.
Now we will move forward with the item number C, RFP for bus wash.
Ms. Cutter.
Yes, good afternoon again. I will be highlighting the board item submission for the bus wash RFP. Currently, the bus wash system is down. It's been down for several years. And our equipment is having to be hand washed. Of course, this is inefficient as it pulls resources from other areas to maintain the buses in a decent condition. Our procurement for a new bus washing system will have new features that will allow us to service all transit vehicles, including the paratransit vehicles. It is inefficient and is definitely needed to promote efficient operations and to allow us to service our buses daily.
I read this, and I've never seen anything so concise and so specific and so detailed, even down to once they install it, they have to come and clean it up. I thought this was a really well-written document. I think we covered everything. My only point was point 1.12 about deviations. How do we control that when we do the bid and we say these are the minimum requirements? And let's say if we choose the lowest bidder, does that mean that when you say deviations, and meeting the minimum, how do we how do we filter that out to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck? How do we do that?
When minimum qualifications are listed, that's the minimal acceptable qualification. If there are any deviations from any of the specifications as outlined in the RFP, then the proposer will have to disclose what those deviations are. And the proposal can be set aside as a result, or the deviation can be considered based on how the impact on the overall quality of the equipment that they would be offering.
Yeah, I guess I was more concerned about the selection process. When you when you decide to select the vendor, and everybody has to meet the minimum. That's a given.
Right.
And
go ahead, Dr. Robinson. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, everybody's got to meet the minimum. I understand that part, but is there something that if they present it to us in their proposal and we like it, would that be the determining factor? Oh yeah, we didn't think about this, or this is a great idea. And how will the other bidders know that this is something that we will embrace? I guess that's my question.
Excellent question. What will happen is that all of the vendors will have to be given the opportunity to submit a proposal based upon that additional information that
Okay,
we are willing to accept.
gotcha. Okay, good answer, good answer.
If I might add, Dr. Robertson, that's the benefit of submitting an RFP because it gives us opportunities to delve into different options, not just the price, but it gives us options, and we can look at different things, different aspects. Whereas if we did an RFQ, we couldn't do that. We had to do it solely on price.
Right.
So
right.
that's the benefit of doing an RFP.
And I like the answer that if we find something we like and the other vendors weren't aware of it on the front end, that they have an opportunity to say yay or nay.
Yes,
so I think in fairness, to everybody, I think that was a great answer.
You're absolutely right. We have to be equitable in procuring the contract. So we have to give everyone the same advantage.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yes.
But other than that, you guys didn't seem to miss very much in saying what you wanted.
Thank you.
Now we have anybody else? Anyone else? Okay, if we have item D, which is a tongue twister. Compensation study.
Yes, sir. I'll be presenting that. The classification and compensation study is not new to the board. It actually was approved by the board in 2019, but for, I think, monetary reasons, that the board canceled the award of the contract at the time. I think it exceeded $90,000 at that time, so it was canceled. But staff is recommending approval to award the contract to Management Advisory Group International. As you see, the quotes have been included in the packet for your consideration. We did receive the 3 quotes, and as I said, they are in your packet. This firm quoted at $22,800, and they were actually, we felt, the better vendor for this project. And I think it's important that we move forward with this. These are this is the same firm that did the assessment for the city of Savannah. And I think from what they've shown us in their proposal, that we'll be very satisfied with them. I will share with you that in the previous meeting, I shared with those directors that I would send the scope to them from this vendor, the proposal that we received, and I will share that with you all as well.
And Ms. Ragland, and I did have a question about that. Well, first of all, there were no DBAs identified, or they just didn't quote on it, or do we go out and look for DBAs on things like this that they can bid on?
We do seek it because we need the DBE participation. We do need it for federal requirements. But no, ma'am, we did not receive any quotes from DBEs.
Okay. And not exactly, well, I haven't seen the scope. So I guess I'll wait. I was going to ask exactly what are they being tasked to do? And then my other question was, you're asking to approve 30,000 when they've already given us 22,800. So
no, well, there are some things that might exceed. There might be some costs outside of the proposal that they might come to us. And I like to make that correction. When I took this to the board initially, it was approved for 25,000.
Right.
That's a typo there. It should be 25,000, not 30,000.
Okay.
But initially, they're being tasked with providing accurate job descriptions, also fair and equitable classifications of positions within the organization that will show us how the compensation plan should be distributed among employees. My assessment since I've been in this position shows that this is badly needed. There's no concrete plan for assigning positions nor compensating those positions. So we need something in place that's going to guide in this organization correctly or properly.
So will they help us with succession plans, like cross training, or that's not what they do?
That's not what they're doing. No,
Okay.
they're primarily, that they can do that, but they're primarily focusing on making sure that we have the proper job descriptions, pay grades, things like that.
Okay. So
When we can't, where someone cannot just arbitrarily give someone a position and assign them a salary.
And so that helps us to be in line with other similar transit agencies.
Yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am, definitely.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think that was the only few questions that I had.
And I will definitely send. I did not include the scope at this time. I was going to definitely include it for the board packet, but I wanted to introduce the subject to you. But I would definitely send the scope to all the directors.
So should we not make this? Well, we're not saying consent agenda. We're saying proposed agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I got you. Because I was thinking if it was going to be on the consent, maybe we need to move it to the regular. But
well, I'm hoping that it will be on the consent agenda. All of these items that we're discussing now will move forward to the governance meeting and be placed on the consent agenda. But I will promise you that you will receive that information on the scope of this plan this week.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions? If not, we can move to the next item, which is item number E. That's donated leave policy.
Yes, sir. I'll take that one. It's always been a concern of mine that some of our fellow co-workers are in dire emergency medical positions and they have no leave. They've used all their leave, or they don't qualify for leave, or whatever the case may be. And some of us have accrued a lot of time that we could possibly donate to those that are in need. And that is the plan for the donation policy. I neglect to call it a policy at this point. It's just a plan. We are still putting the policy together because there are things to consider, like who can donate or who can receive it. There are just lots of things to consider first. So we have not completed the policy yet, but this is a plan to set up a policy to take care of this. And I have spoken with Ms. Caroline Smalls over at the county, and her staff has been assisting me in this task. So in addition to the previous information that I was going to send to you, when we have the completed policy, I will send that as well so that you can review it. But I would like to have this considered as an adoption for CAT employees, that some of us who have been more fortunate than others are in a position to help those who are in dire emergency needs.
Oh, I love it. I put yes all over that. I just put yes.
Yeah, anybody.
Yeah.
You're right. Anybody that work a job, you know, if you need that time, you never know when you may need it.
You never know.
And you know, when you develop an organization as a community, you know, as a family, you know, family help family members. And yes, I just wrote yes all over that one.
Thank you.
And I have no questions.
And this has been something I've been wanting to put in place for, I know, at least 20 years. And I just think, as you said, we're family, and family should help family when we can.
Okay, Ms. Ragland, will there be parameters put in place, and do they have to get it? I'm sure they have to get it approved, but who will be approving?
Yes, sir. We definitely we can set parameters for how much time can be donated, how much can be requested. We are also looking at the formula for compensation. For instance, if someone earning $15 an hour wants to donate to someone making $20 an hour, of course, if they want to donate 20 hours per se, that 20 hours is multiplied by what they earn, and you give a total amount, but we then have to divide that total amount by what that person is making, and we come up with how much they could actually donate. Then we have to consider IRS and taxes. There are some rules that would maybe decrease your taxes or increase your taxes depending on how it's set up. So those are all things that we're looking at for recipients as well as those who will receive.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I do know that a W-2 will be issued to the person for any donated time. That person that's actually donating, they'll receive a W-2 for that cost. So those are all kinds of things that we're putting together now as part of the policy. We're looking deep into it before we actually bring it to you.
Ms. Ragland,
Yes,
will
sir.
that be an individual donation, or will it go into a pot to distribute to anyone that's asking for it?
Well, we looked at the donation bank, as you said, a pot, but we think it would be simpler if we were to say that there, send out an information or a message that we have an employee who is in need. We don't have to name the employee. We have an employee. Are you able or are you willing to donate? So we think we're looking at possibly doing it on an individual basis.
So it sounds like human resources, somebody will evaluate these requests as they come in and determine if it's where they're moving forward.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. It'll actually be an HR function. They will determine whether it's actually a medical emergency and whether, the person, we wouldn't want to ask someone to donate somebody time if somebody had I hate to minimize it, but if you had a tooth pull, and so I'm going to be out 2 days to recover, versus someone who had emergency surgery and might be out for a month. So, the HR will determine who is eligible and for how much. Yes, sir.
Is there any incentive for the volunteers?
No, just the desire to help someone. That's all.
Okay.
And I think the evaluation process will aid in well, I'm gonna use the word people who abuse the system. Because you guys will know these people, the frequent flyers, and there's already a history moving
yes, ma'am.
of employees already anyway. So
yes, and as I answered Director Adams earlier that we set the parameters. We can set it up any way that we choose to do it. So we can put the limitations that we know should be there. We can set those.
But I think it's a really great gesture. I think it's a really great idea.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move to Brenda Ice with the fair policy revision.
Good afternoon, folks. I am going to just share my screen really quickly because I have a couple points up on my PowerPoint that might help you follow along with what I'm talking about.
And Brent, before you get started, have we actually seen this policy?
You haven't. I wanted to get a little bit of feedback during the meetings today, but I am prepared to send out the redlined version later on this afternoon.
Okay, good.
So to give you an update on our FAIR policy, the purpose of the FAIR policy is to ensure proper procedures, equipment, and technology are in place to safeguard employees, minimize opportunities for theft or mishandling of FAIR revenues, and ensure that proper safeguards and controls exist for non-cash revenue items such as tickets and passes. And our policy was last updated in 2014. So we wanted to go through in preparation for our triennial review, but also, 7 years is a good time to update our policies anyway. In addition, we have the veteran half fair policy that went into effect earlier this year. And we just wanted to make sure that it was straightforward and easy to understand this policy. So I just wanted to give you a little snapshot as to what changes we have made. And again, you will get a red line version later on this afternoon. Basically, in the current FAIR policy, any discounts are at the sole discretion of the CEO. And we just wanted to add some discounts at a glance to give a little bit more basis for what discounts could be given with bulk purchases. So you can see this is our suggestion for discounts at a glance. Bulk purchases, if you purchase 60 tickets or more, you could get $5 off. 100 tickets or more, you could get $10 off. And 200 tickets or more, you could get $25 off. And, you know, my team reminded me after this morning's meeting, committee meeting, that the vast majority of our tickets are purchased one at a time. So any opportunity that we can sell tickets in bulk is a great opportunity to increase revenue for us. In addition to that change, that addition to the policy, we also removed language of old technology. We added the language about the Veterans Half Fare program, and we added additional language about mobile ticketing and online purchases, really just to get us up to date into 2021. So again, I'm going to stop sharing this. I do have a draft for you. I will send it out this afternoon. I will send it to Ms. Beverly to send it to you this afternoon, but just wanted to get a little bit of feedback if you had any thoughts on the FAIR policy. And again, we do expect it to be on the consent agenda for the full board meeting.
Mr. Adams, unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. What are those percentages on the discount?
That's a good question. That first one is $85 instead of $85 instead of 90. So it would be, let's see, where's my calculator really quickly? It's hiding behind the screen. Hold on a second. And that's a 6% decrease, 6% discount for that first category. The second one would be 140 instead of 150, which is a 7% discount, almost 7% discount. And the 25 off 200 would be 275 instead of 300, which is a little over about 8.5%. So the top would be 8.5, though we're certainly taking suggestions. If you think that should be smaller or larger, let us know.
I'll let you know about it.
Yeah, I think about that one.
Yeah.
And I might add to the board members of the board present, if you do have comments or suggestions that come to mind after this meeting, please forward them to me, and I will make sure that staff receives them. If you could, it would be great if you could do so before or by Thursday, the 10th.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
So do we have any other questions on that item?
No, sir.
Okay, now we will move to the item G, property and casualty insurance renewal.
Mr. Hall.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you all may know, it's that time of year where we look at renewing our insurance coverages with Sterling, Seacrest, and Partners. I've been in conversation with them the last couple of days. They should be finalizing those final documents no later than today or tomorrow morning. They will also be presenting to the board at the regular scheduled board meeting their proposal for the insurance coverages. We do anticipate some increases as a result of the increase in the number of paratransit vehicles that we have, and also the addition of the electrical buses. And again, those final numbers should be out hopefully by tomorrow, if not the close of business today. And we are preparing for the presentation to the board. And we do have a meeting tomorrow with Seacrest Partnership to go over the numbers as they finalize their proposal. Are there any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We have this as an action item, but what if as a board we say we don't want it? What's our options? Do we really have options?
At this juncture, I could say we may have options, but I think they've done the homework and they've presented some of the findings in terms of what they can actually have in terms of underwriting, and the numbers that they're coming up with are going to be the best numbers that they can find.
So we have to trust that staff has done due diligence, looking at this, accepted it as, you know, the way we should go when we vote. Because even if I read all that and I go, well, what about this? What about that? We really don't have, I don't think we have options. I don't know. Am I wrong?
You're correct, but tomorrow we have that discussion with them as a group collectively. They've scheduled a meeting with them so we can go over each item that they're going to be presenting, and that's when we'll ask those questions.
Yeah, I mean, we've had them for years, and I do understand that, and I've seen, you know, how they do what they do, and they do it. You know, they find the best, you know, people that can provide us. My mind goes like, what if?
And that's good. That's good. And even looking at some of their documents from last year, there were some individuals who didn't even want to bid on the whole process. So
exactly. Yeah.
Dr. Robertson, I love that you're inquisitive like that. But you know, they are our broker and they are searching for the best possible policy and coverage at the best cost for us. So and the board will they will be presenting to the board as well for this month.
That's any other questions?
That's it for me. I don't have any more questions.
You tapped out?
Not really.
I understand your question, but at the timing for this renewal, you really don't have an option at this point. But we are hoping to get, I was speaking with Beverly earlier today, we're hoping that we will get ahead of the curve in that we will have at least 30 to 60 days to review these types of things. So they're not immediate for the board.
Thank you, guys. Since we took item H off, we do have some old new business. That's the standing committees restructure.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Ragland, can I get my question in before you, because I do have a question. Now, I read it, but I don't understand it. So can you tell me what the realignment actually is going to be? You just give it to me in just some general terms, because we meet now, and are we going to meet as a collectively, or I couldn't understand it.
Well, I will share with you that Dr. Halloran in the last meeting is suggesting a meeting of a general meeting per se, and then a breakout sessions for each committee. That 3 different committees are held meeting at the same time in different rooms. We come together initially just for general information and then break out into committees. And that's something that he is suggesting.
Well, and that's not a bad idea, but if you do that, then you can still got to come back. Mm-hmm. And, you know, after each committee has its own little breakout room, you need to still come back and discuss whatever was.
Well, we will maintain the governance. We would always maintain. Yes, ma'am. We still maintain the governance committee, but instead of having 3 different committee meetings during the day, he's proposing we have them all at the same time, take care of maybe 2 hours during that day and be done.
So then the chair of each committee is on the governance committee. So
yes,
any
ma'am.
concerns that committee have would then be hashed out in the governance committee.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That's his proposal. And so it would be up to the board, of course, but that's something that he's proposing. But we're proposing that in line with the staff realignment in the organization, we are going to restructure the committee to the structure to match that of the agency, if you will. So we are looking at maybe the chief financial officer having one committee, which is finance, the system development chief having a committee, and then the service delivery chief having a committee.
Well, I'm telling you, the person at a disadvantage is going to be the chief financial, because everybody want her on all their committees. Because if there's something on the agenda deals with finance, either we make it where it's easy for her to hash it all out in the general session, because when we break out, we may have some finance. Usually finance is the big thing.
Yes, ma'am.
On all committees. So I don't know.
And I understand what you're saying. I understand exactly what you're saying. But previously, the structure was such that the finance committee, or the CFO, had the committee that handled procurement, payroll, AP, accounts payable, accounts receivable, contracts, and compliance. But when you get to the point where you need that financial advice from that CFO, I understand exactly what you're saying. And you can always contact me or the CFO directly.
Or a member of the financial
governance
department. Maybe.
Well, we would prefer it, if you would, that you would contact the chief or myself.
Okay.
Rather than contacting someone in the department directly.
Okay. And I had one other question. I promise you that was just one more.
Yes, ma'am.
The statement in the proposal for this restructuring says it matches with goal 2, objective 2.1. Now, I didn't see that connection. It's because it gives more for the community, more involvement. I just didn't see how that matched with that goal. But that you don't have to answer that right now, but I would like to know if we're going to use that language, let's make sure it does do exactly that.
Yes, ma'am.
But that's something you can look and hash out later with me.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I'll definitely look at that again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything, Doc?
Yes, Mr. Leggett.
I just want to know if we need to volley something back over on your side of the net.
No, thank you guys, because I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it clearly, and because when I vote, I want my vote to be the right vote. So that's why I read everything and I ask a lot of questions, because it is important to me.
Dr. Robinson, I appreciate you. It lets me know that, hey, you are on it. You're committed to what you're doing, and that means a lot to me.
Thank you.
So we definitely want to make sure that we didn't overwhelm the staff by continuously saying the same thing over and over. I mean, I'm always a fan of just giving the information one time when it's fresh, and we'll be able to take it in. And instead of having multiple committee meetings, we can have one meeting, one session, and many questions that we may have, we can hash them all out instead of doing it over and over. So I like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions, statements, anything need to be said? If not, our next meeting will be June 15th, the governance meeting. And the meeting after that will be our regular board meeting, which would be June 22nd of this month. So if there's not anything else for the good of the order, I just want to let everybody know always, I appreciate you for each and every one of you for where you are and what you do for this organization. And I thank you for from the citizens who I represent and who is the meat of the city where we represent. So I thank you for what you do. I appreciate you for where you are. Continue to do what you do, because without you, there's no us. So thank you.
I concur.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye.